Welcome to part 2 of Phuket Word's BS word salad. He put out this video called The Flat Earth Model of the Sun and Moon, where he showed the interaction of the sun and moon over a flat Earth. Now we all know that the heliocentric model accurately predicts observations of the sun and the moon. And I know this from personal experience through years of travel and living abroad. But Phuket Word claims that this is blatantly false. So let's see what he thinks.
Any model can be created from the predictive nature of sunrise and sunset, or watching the moon go overhead and watching its phases throughout a month.
Well, in part 1, I showed that Phuket Word's statement is actually blatantly false. Here we have an example of the flat Earth with a full moon, and nobody would even see a full moon. From China to Phuket Island, where Nick lives, all the way to Australia, everybody would see a different side of the moon, and everybody would see a different phase of the moon. So in this regards, the flat Earth model cannot explain moon phase observations. Of course, on the globe model, everyone sees the same face of the moon, everyone sees the same phase of the moon. It doesn't matter what day of the month it is. So now we're going to see if the flat Earth can make predictions about the sun. So here's my flat Earth map. The yellow dotted line is the equator where I have the sun right now, and down at the bottom I have a star which again represents Phuket Island. This is where Nick lives, and this is the sun that he would see. So we are going to start with the equinox sun, when the sun is orbiting above the equator. Of course, we have a 12-hour night and a 12-hour day. And again, Phuket is down here just north of the equator. So Nick would see the sun setting up here to the left and sunrise over here to the right. Now this is the side view. Again, the flatter sun is orbiting above the equator. And of course, I had to turn it into the perspective view so we could have sunset and sunrise. And we can already see a problem with this model. Of course, this is the real problem because the observed sun that we see in Thailand is almost perpendicular to the Earth's surface. And I say we because I currently live in Bangkok, Thailand. So I am very familiar with the movement of the sun in this area. And of course, on the equinox, the sun rises in the east, passes overhead to set in the west 12 hours later, continue that orbit path, and it goes right underneath us at night as the sun returns to the east to rise again in the morning. And Nick knows this. This is a video that he recorded.
The sun appears to veer off to the right as it gets further away. So to me, this indicates that it is doing a circle. This is where we start to see the evidence that the sun is doing a circle around or above the level Earth.
Well, Nick was correct when he said around before he changed it to above. I mean, here's a protractor on here. That sun angle is about 8 degrees. And look at that. It matches Phuket's location north of the equator. This would be evidence for a globe. And Nick, all you need to do is travel 600 miles south to Singapore. And what do you see in Singapore? It's just north of the equator. You see a sun going down perpendicular to the horizon. How is this possible on a flat Earth? Nick, you need to wake up and smell the coffee. The North Pole is 5,670 miles to the right. If the Earth was really flat, you would see a sun with an orbit path more like this arrow up here. So here are two more problems for the flat Earth. First, we have the June solstice. This is when we see the rising and setting sun to the northeast and the northwest, and the December solstice when we see the rising and setting sun to the southeast and the southwest. And remember, Nick, you talked about data from hundreds and thousands of years of observations. So let's take a look at some of that data. This is from timeanddate.com. This is June 2019, and the 21st was the solstice. So the observed sun was seen setting at 294 degrees on a compass. And for the December solstice, the sun is observed setting at 246 degrees. Now this is Kamala Beach on the west coast of Phuket Island. This is the area where Nick lives, and this is where he makes a lot of his videos. So I put a compass down here and aligned it to the north, and this is where Nick sees the sunsets during the course of a year. So let's see how this works on a flat Earth. On the June solstice, the sun is orbiting above the Tropic of Cancer, and on the December solstice, the sun is orbiting over the Tropic of Capricorn. Now, if you live in the tropics, you know that the length of the day does not vary much throughout the year, and in Thailand, the day varies only about an hour from June to December. So I did make an adjustment to the position of the sun on the December and June solstice, but from Phuket, we would see both of these to the northwest. So if the Earth was really flat, Nick should see the sun setting in this area throughout the year. And this just really goes to show that Nick is a complete failure as a researcher. And of course, once again, Nick's fantasy flat Earth also fails at making predictions. Of course, the globe can make these predictions. Here is the equinox sunset when the terminator line is aligned with the Earth axis, and everybody along that terminator line will see the sun setting to the west. This is the June solstice when the North Pole is tilted towards the sun, and again on the terminator line everyone sees the sun setting to the northwest. And the same is true on the December solstice when the North Pole is tilted away from the sun. Everybody on the terminator line sees the sun setting to the southwest. So the globe is quite accurate. And here's another problem for the flat Earth. This is the observed sunset from Western Australia. So you got to ask yourself, if the sun is supposed to be orbiting around the North Pole, why is it heading in the complete opposite direction? So these are the observed angles of the setting sun from the southern hemisphere to the northern hemisphere. And I don't know about you, Nick, but if I believed in the model where the sun should be orbiting around the North Pole, you think that these setting sun angles would be all in the same direction. So let's go back to that flat Earth map. And what do we see here? Well, only London comes close to matching the observed sun angle. Australia and Phuket aren't even close. And again, the flat Earth is a failure because it cannot explain the observed sunset angles. And finally, what about the globe? So here is the globe on its side. I have the South Pole in the lower left, North Pole on the lower right. The equator is going right up through the middle. And in this case, we are on the equinox with parallel sun rays coming from the sun. Now I have added these photographs and I aligned them in the area where they are on the globe so they are tangent to the surface of the Earth. And look at that. Once again, the globe predicts what we actually observe. And of course, Singapore on the equator is also a match. So sorry, Nick, once again, your claim is blatantly false. Your flat Earth can't predict anything.